So a few moments of your time, if you guys would like to win this awesome, brand new, never used Bell MX-9 MIPS in the cool 7 colorway, all you got to do is subscribe, and in 1 or 2 weeks time, I'm going to pick one of the subscribers and notify you and send it to you free of charge. Man, Redbull Hardline is a go. I don't know if you guys watch Moi Moi. I assume you did. He is pretty much the one-stop shop for the best Hardline coverage. He obviously does a lot of the World Cups. He's one of the fan favorite enduro racers, probably one of the best personalities in the sport. He is at Hardline at Tasmania, and the trackside footage is legendary. Man, it might be the best, most exciting spectator sort of event in the sport of downhill all year. The track is unreal. The list of riders participating is unreal. The event is amazing. And the first day of practice exceeded the already high expectations I had. It is gnarly. You got just cornucopia of downhill awesomeness, a blast from the past. We got Sam Hill. We got Josh Brycland, a rider that is near and dear to me. I saw him race Wyndham. I forget what year it was, but unfortunately, he left the sport far sooner than I wanted him to. We know what happened, not to get sidetracked with that, but just seeing Josh Brycland race a downhill, or I guess in this case, practicing a downhill sort of race day is awesome. And that's before I mention the fact that he's doing it on a Cannondale downhill bike. Cannondale has not been in the sport since I have been into mountain biking and downhill and a fan. So it predated my involvement by, I would say, over 10 years. I don't know when they got out of it, but it was maybe mid-2000s. But I mean, what a interesting combination of literally the current and future prodigies of the sport. I believe Asa Vermette and Jackson Goldstone are already sizing each other up. I believe these are the two riders that are going to be winning a lot of the World Cup overall titles over the next 10 years. They are generational talents. But then you also got Sam Hill, one of, well, I would say still the coolest downhill racer to ever do it. I still remember the picture of him on the pink demo in his fluorescent pink Troy Lee Designs outfit. It still to this day sticks with me as that iconic moment of like, what downhill could be, the swagger, kind of that silent assassin, the Australian with the tattoos and that like intense, quiet stare personality. He's there looking awesome on a foe's bike, really cool. But man, the practice day in Moi Moi TV, it is just a one-stop shop. It pretty much eclipses every other content coming from Hardline many times over. He's one of the best personalities in the sport, and he's just so good. I don't know what it is, and I would wonder if you guys sense the same thing. There's something about rider footage from a elite racer that they just capture it honestly better than the Vital Raw people do. I don't know if it's that they hit different spots and they don't approach it like a traditional filmmaker or journalist or whatever, but man, Moi Moi on the film with his quirky, goofy humor, great insights, and just capturing the gnarliest moments. It is awesome. I'm sure you guys already watched it, but it was just, talk about a just shot of adrenaline, the first big international race of the series. And we're going to get into the interesting stories, the sort of things I noticed, who I'm looking for to sort of win the race, who's looking good. And yeah, that's what we're going to get into. So the biggest and most interesting storyline coming into it, and still is the fact that we're going to be seeing Asa Vermette and Jackson Goldstone race one another. Asa is fresh off getting that beautiful Redbull lid, and in this sport, if there was a single sort of emblematic moment of you arriving, you summiting the mountain of downhill awesomeness, it is the Redbull lid. No disrespect to Monster, it's cool, but it just doesn't compare to that custom one-off Redbull lid. Asa Vermette, he's, what is he, 17, 18 now? First year racing World Cups last year. Actually didn't win the overall, but impressed everybody. Clearly him and Max Allred are two of the future stars, but I am so stoked to see him. First Hardline event. He's there with Nico Mullally, founder of Frameworks, kind of team manager, rider himself. I'm excited. He looked phenomenal. This kid has, just like Jackson Goldstone, lived and breathed on a bike. BMX, mountain bike, downhill. The jumps clearly came easy to him. It's not scaring him. He's got that young go hard swagger, not to mention prodigy skills. So would it surprise me if Asa Vermette wins Tasmania Hardline? No, it would not. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily picking him because I believe the other prodigy that showed up, Jackson Goldstone, is there for redemption. He is the Jet Lawrence of this sport right now. He just does things different. And it's funny because he's 5'7", 5'8", 130 pounds. A bunch of the other dudes could pretty much pick him up and throw him. But when the dude is on a downhill bike, he is pretty much half bike, half human, kind of hybrid. He looks incredible. He is back up to speed. If today was any indicator, he is fully pinning it, looks sensational in the tight, cool Fox kit. I'm pretty sure they're still rocking the onesie that I was in favor of. I'm in favor of skin suits. I'm not against it. Maybe it's my fondness for road cycling too, but bring the skin suit. Like, I'm not hating on it. It's faster, it's cool. But Jackson looked phenomenal. Hit all the features except I don't think they hit the bottom biggest jump yet, but I think Jackson and Asa are sizing one another up. I believe they're probably the two best riders there right now, and it's exciting to just see these riders show up because the second story is on the topic of riders showing up. Where are the Frenchies? There is a distinct lack of French downhill talent at Hardline. It's wild because the views for this event, the publicity, it eclipses or at least matches a World Cup in terms of, I don't think it's valued as much within the sport. Like, I don't think winning Hardline means as much as winning a World Cup, but I would say the publicity is equal to, if not in excess of what a World Cup offers. And it's just shocking to see none of the top downhill French riders showing up. There's no Vergier, there's no Amaury Piron, there's no Bruni, there's no Benoit Coulons. They're not there. And it's a sort of surprising turn of events. It's certainly not because they're scared. I assume, especially Bruni being probably the keystone example of a strategic racer, he doesn't want to take unnecessary, excessive risks. And Hardline is, in a nutshell, excessive, unnecessary risk. It's just sketchy. It's gnarly. The drops and even the technical sections, they got this supercross style section with the whoops. It is getting wild first day, and pretty much all the riders, by the looks of it, have pretty much been hanging out in Queenstown, in New Zealand, getting the downhill runs in. So they're pretty much coming in at full speed, and maybe the seasoned, experienced, methodical French racers just deem it not worth the squeeze. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The risk outweighs the potential reward and the potential, vulnerability to removing their ability to win a World Cup overall. That is fundamentally the biggest target and the biggest objective in the sport. And Amaury Piron and Loic Bruni are well able to accomplish that this year. I mean, Loic Bruni just won it last year. So Ronan Dunne is looking phenomenal. He had kind of an interesting year last year. This big sort of upward trajectory culminating in winning in Poland. But man, once the pressure is on the shoulders, once the expectations are ratcheted up, it's like the already gnarly, mentally difficult sport of downhill. It just takes it to that other level. And that is really what is going to be interesting for me with Ronan, is to see, now that he is a race winner, now that the expectations are set, it's going to be fascinating to see if he can repeat it. I believe he can, but the sport is so deep and the margins are so fine that it's just going to be fascinating to see. And especially ultimately this weekend, it's like a mini World Cup with the riders that are there. Can Ronan, with his 5 Red Bulls and that just fiery, I mean, he's an Irishman. He's as scrappy as they come. That kind of goes without saying. So I'm excited to see if he can repeat, because this will be the first really big international level win since his World Cup win, I believe. Somebody correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure his win in Poland, that was the high water mark of the season, and he kind of struggled to find that same level. And again, it's like, once you can win, You want to win, and anything that is not first place is a failure. So it's like the pressure comes from internally when you're like, I know I can do it. I have the ability. Now it's up to me to kind of put these puzzle pieces together. And downhill was one of the most difficult sports because of it. Football is 2 hours, baseball is 3 hours, a Tour de France stage is 5 hours, a downhill race is like, what, 3.5 to 4.5 minutes. One mistake, one wrong move, slip of the pedals, and it's over. So that's what makes the sport so fun from a spectator standpoint, and that's what makes it so uniquely difficult for the athletes. Interesting thing was seeing Vali Hall, the top female downhill racer, racing right now, undisputed. Rachel Atherton is currently not racing, so obviously if she comes back, we'll have a different conversation, but she looked good. She was getting comfortable. She hit all the jumps, no issue. She is looking dialed. She's one of the most talented riders to do it. She just, I mean, it's amazing the level of progression in the women's category over the past 10 years. Like, if you really want to know what is changing in sort of what is really evolving most quickly, is it's the women's category. If you're looking at what they're doing, how they're riding, this track is designed for the gnarliest downhill racers in the world. For the women to be able to not only ride the track, but to make it look easy and to put down, lap after lap. Men are just physiologically stronger. We have more bone density, that we just have physical advantages over most women. And so for these women to be showing up and demonstrating how tough they are, how skillful, how determined, how just straight up brave. I mean, you're looking at these drops and transfers in sketchy sections are scaring the best dudes on the planet. So when I see Vali Hall and Louis Ferguson and Reese Von Leuven ride it and just crush it, it's like, man, this is like one of the coolest stories in sports, and it's just not getting nearly as much publicity as it should because these women are badass. There is no getting around it. They would put to shame 99% of male riders the world over, and they're just gnarly. So awesome to see it. Vali Hall is probably going to get the win. Let's be real. It's hard to imagine that not happening, but it's not exactly the point. You go to Hardline to get the experience and to, throw yourself into the hornet's nest, and that's what it is, a hornet's nest. Also interesting, I don't know what clothing sponsor Brooke McDonald has, but his outfit was awesome, kind of random. I like the unique style, the cool, like, idiosyncratic, kind of like drippy, abstract design. It looked cool. I don't know what clothing sponsor it is, but shout out to them. Very unique, very cool. And I hope we are past the weird, creamy pastel colors. I don't know if you guys remember it, but a couple years ago on the World Cup circuit, all the rage was these creamy pastel, like pink, purple, but it wasn't like neon retro 80s or supercross pink or purple. It was like faded. It looks like we've moved past it, and I for one am thankful for it. Commensal did it all the time. They were like really guilty of it. Hopefully they've moved past it, because enough white jerseys that fade into like a creamy pink purple. It's like Brooke McDonald's outfit looking awesome. The other MVP from the Raw, Dan Booker. This dude is an absolute loon. The gnarly, I don't know how to describe, but the drop into the sharp right berm where they now, before last year, it was just this kind of like rocky drop, but now they put a fallen tree down for an opportunity to do kind of like a skinny log ride, hop off, and then hit the drop. Well, this dude does it, hops off it, and then kind of nose bonks off of it. This dude has come out to play at Hardline. What a freak of nature talent. I mean, when you got G. Atherton staring in awe, you are doing some truly gnarly shit. And that nose bonk off that 40 or 50 foot drop, I mean, you're just looking at it, and you might have done it twice. You're like, dude, what are you made of? That's the other funny thing I got from Hardline is watching World Cups. It is easy to get a very inflated sense of how good you are. You go out, and ride and race, and you feel like a stud. Man, the Hardline footage coming out today just showcases
how much better the top riders are than myself and the vast majority of us. So many of the World Cup tracks, and especially technical sections, and I've talked about this before, it just doesn't translate on video. But when you see these jumps and how technical and precise you gotta be, it becomes just abundantly clear how freaky talented these dudes are, how gnarly they are. It is just, it's funny because it just straight up humbles you. Because a lot of the World Cups, the tracks aren't that complicated. And so you're not really appreciating, you don't appreciate how good Jackson Goldstone and Troy Brosnan and Ronan Dunne are. And man, they are just unbelievable on a bike. And it is humbling / just exciting seeing a course that demonstrates and showcases it, because oftentimes it's not the case. Technical tracks just doesn't translate it. And I've raced downhill, so I know this literally firsthand. I've seen video footage of tracks that I've raced, and I'm like, that's not the track I raced. There's no way it is. It looks like a baby's walking path on video. When you're riding it in person, it's gnarly. So you can only imagine what Val d'Isole is actually like. But anyways, it is cool to see a track that really does accurately demonstrate just the gnarliness of what they're doing. Troy Brosnan also looked phenomenal. He could get the win. It's hard to imagine the win not going to either Troy Brosnan, Asa Vermette, Jackson Goldstone, or Ronan Dunne. It's kind of not exactly a hot take. Those are the highest ranked riders, very likely. But I'm excited to see what Asa does. Is he going to play it cool first time there, or he's kind of a young stud? It's hard to imagine he's going to hold back. He's going to want to just throw down a burner of a lap, make the Red Bull sponsorship proud. And man, if he wins it, it wouldn't shock me. But odds on favorite, if I'm putting money down, it is Jackson Goldstone. Redemption. He is looking saucy. This dude is, what can we say? He's a prodigy, a generational talent. The sport is going the way of Supercross with people like Jet Lawrence and Hayden Deegan that are just have been doing this from as soon as they've been able to walk, pretty much human bike hybrids. So I got winning. Jackson Goldstone looking phenomenal. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Today was awesome. I am so stoked for a whole week of practice, but I want to know what you guys think. What'd you see? Man, it's just, it gets you so stoked. It's probably the most exciting event to watch as a spectator, because it's like, it is gnarly and you get a sense of it. So let me know what you guys think and hope you enjoyed the video.